Okay, it's been a while since we met. I know I was off on the 1st of September. I figured a lot of people might have been off that day, right before Labor Day anyhow, so it didn't seem necessary to have this meeting, but I was looking for the email. I believe it came after that date, the September 1st date, but we got an email as an update to this program that I think this is something where ARPA, the federal government through ARPA made a rule change. I've never clarified that, but we have a new deadline with projects. We got an email that says all the projects for the Appalachian Community Grant Program, they have to be able to be under contract, not bid out. You have to have contracts awarded to construction companies by September 30th of 2024. We just got this information in the last 2 weeks, and this is going to be a game changer for a lot of projects. So just be aware of that. It's not only do you have to have it completed by October 31st of 2026, you have to be able to have it under contract by September 30th of next year. So you've got 1 year and about 15 days to make this happen. So I think what that's going to do is that's definitely going to sort out some projects. Doesn't mean projects aren't important, or there's probably some good projects that have been submitted to the planners to look at that may not make the cut because you cannot get the project awarded by that date. Can't get the design done, can't get it awarded. Those are going to be concerns. And we've talked to all the planners that have been assigned in the OVRDC region about some of those, some of those things. They're the experts in that area. Ken and I are not. I don't know how long it takes to design a project to get it out to bid, but we're going to rely on those procured planners to give us that information. And we're going to have to really look at those projects that can move forward in such manner. If it's going to take 2 years to design it, we cannot put that in an application. It's just not going to fly. We do have 3 lead applicants that have stepped up in our region that I think 2 are definitely wanting to do it. I think 1, it's highly probable. And I do know there are a few others that have stepped up to say they'll be lead applicants. Now, I am not going to take liberty to tell you who those are because I don't want their phones flooded or their email box imploding because everybody's reaching out to them. I'm trying to respect them. And like I said, there's possibly a few others, but Ken and I are meeting after this meeting. When we get off this Zoom or this Teams meeting, he's here at our office. We're going to sit down and start looking at those questionnaires, you guys. I've been reading those and looking at those. He has too. And he's talked with all the planners, as I said, to give us an idea of the projects they're working on, what ones are viable given this new information that we've gotten. So we're going to start identifying projects that we could give to the lead applicants who have stepped up and said, we'll be a lead applicant, and kind of give them an idea of, hey, here's a project that might fit well with you. Because realize that each of these lead applicants have a project of their own. So they're trying to theme their projects so it makes sense. So it's going to be up to them to pick and choose who they want to be part of a project. I don't know that every lead applicant will take on the same amount of work, as in, do they want 20 projects attached to their lead application, or do they just want 5 or 10? That's up to the lead applicant. All Ken and I are doing is recommending possible fits for their project. I'm not making anybody do anything. I don't have that authority here. And so basically, those 3 lead applicants, we'll discuss with them again shortly after we meet today. Hey, here's some potential people you may want to work with, we thought would fit with you, and we'll go from there. This is going to be a continuous process over the next week or so. I think between now and the end of the month, we're going to have a lot of things falling into place on this. And we certainly will keep you apprised. We will do another meeting here in 2 weeks, and maybe there's more we can say then about who those lead applicants are and some of these things that we're talking about. I think that would be on the 29th of September. So hopefully we'll know more then to give you a further update. One thing I want to say to people, because we now have to have these projects designed, bid, and under contract by September 30th of next year, if your procured planner feels like, hey, if we started on engineering, right now, I think some of the procured planners are asking that, hey, I've got a big enough project here, it's going to take more time to design. So we're hearing that possibly awards will be announced in February of next year. I'm not going to guarantee you that's when we'll hear about awards. I heard February is a potential date. If those awards are announced then, you're going to have a hiatus from the time applications go in until that time. And if your planner says, hey, if I could use those 3 or 4 months to continue design, I could have this ready and bid out in time, then your planner cannot request additional funds from the state to keep moving forward if they need those to continue design on your project. If they do have that, it's the lead applicant that has to request that has to go in. So that's one reason we're trying to push right now to figure out some projects to fit together, because those lead applicants here in our region are going to have to be the ones that ask for that additional help with all those projects that need to keep moving in order for them to proceed. And we will continue to identify other potential lead applicants for viable projects. If we put these ones that we're talking about together, if we have a lot of communities we feel are left out still, we'll try to drum up other lead applicants that could potentially be one in the region. I will say that it is highly unlikely that OVRDC is going to be a lead applicant. And let me explain why. I have 3 right now potential applicants that are in our region. And these are organizations that are members of OVRDC. I don't think it has a good look for OVRDC to compete against our own. We do not want to be put in that position. We want to support those folks that have stepped up and said, we're going to be lead applicants. So I don't see how I can support them when I'm competing against them. So I think it is highly improbable that OVRDC will be a lead applicant for this program. So just want you to be aware of that. We are, however, interested on the backside of these, that if a lead applicant, and I've told many of them this, that if they take on a bigger geography of projects and they need help with administration of some of those projects that are in communities that are far away from them, and they're just trying to manage things at home or in their neighboring counties, we are willing to help with administration of those grants on the backside, but we wouldn't be a lead applicant in that capacity. the last thing I want to say, or last couple of things I want to say, we've talked about this and I want to reiterate it. Not every project that's been submitted for procured planners go get funding through this program. It's not the end of the world if you don't. There's other money available. This has all been talked about in the past. There's the ARC Power Program. There's been projects funded of similar style of some of the ones we've seen submitted here under that power program. And our office, as well as the Governor's Office of Appalachia and their consultants that they have on 4Power, be glad to work with you on figuring out how your project might fit for power. There's been there was one up in the Omega region that was going after this money. They backed off already and put in for power. And I think from what I heard, they're probably going to get funded this year. And under power, understand you don't have to put all these projects together under one umbrella. You can apply as the city of or the whatever organization of. It doesn't have to be you need partners, the people that support it, but it doesn't have to be like this ACGP program. There's also area development funds, which those are the ARC program projects that come through our office. Those aren't as big a grants, but for some of these projects that might be small, we might be able to help some of you out. And it might even be one of those things where we can get you a grant to match, point you in a direction to get some other funding, and then we could get the ARC area development money to be matched for your project, which could possibly give you a lot more money than you realize. So certainly we would entertain that, and you can contact our staff here. I'd start with Carrie Richardson, who's our ARC project person, and we can talk about that for next year. The fund, we've already got our projects in for the coming year to be next year. There is the ARC Arise program. Now it's similar here to ACGP in that you've got to have multiple partners but it's multi-state. So it's not, you're going to be dealing with potential applicants that you would partner with in Kentucky, West Virginia, and Ohio also. So those are 3. I also found out about this since our last call. And some of you may have heard about this, and I think there's some projects that are kind of iffy about eligibility for this program, but they sound like they might fit into this. Of course, no rules have been drawn up, so maybe I'm being too hopeful. There is supposed to be a community development fund set up similar to the Capitol bill. That's going to be coming up and available probably early next year. This is through the state of Ohio. From what I heard, and it's statewide, it's not Appalachia only, but it's a fund that'll be available. The Senate, what I heard was the House members will have $350 million and the Senate will have $350 million to allocate. So it's kind of like I said, it's kind of like a capital bill. But what I heard too is it's not tied to bond funding. From what I understand, it's general revenue fund. So there's not going to be a lot of rules tied to that money. Like, how when you go for capital bill money, that you have to the project has to be able to be bonded, a part of that bond sale. This is going to be a little more open game. So again, talking about, hey, you don't make ACGP, perhaps there's an opportunity in this. That's all I know. I don't think the legislature has met to define how this program is going to work. And then I also heard that there is a $700 million, and again, this is where the state budget is, they're doing so well. There's $700 million additional funds that have not even been budgeted yet. So we don't even know how that's going to be rolled out. I think if we can show from our region a lot of your needs that you guys have submitted and what's not getting funded through this program, we can make a case that maybe some of these revenues from the state, if we talk to our legislators, to say, hey, if you don't know how to spend this 700 million, here's a few ideas. So I think there's opportunity. Hate to say this, but money seems to be flowing freely right now, and not just through ACGP, but a lot of programs. So keep your eyes out. There's a lot of opportunity right now, and there is going to be a sunset to all of this. My guess is 2026. That seems to be a magic date for everything. So pursue these things. Don't get disgruntled if you don't get a grant from this program. Look to the next one. I think you can find that you might be able to identify some funding. Ken Reed, anything you want to add, sir?
Yes, I would like to add, we are looking to see if the state of Ohio will allow design build. If we're allowed to go design build, that will really speed some of these projects up, and it will be a great plus. But it's like anything with ACGP, when you ask, well, that's a good question, and somebody has to check with somebody, and somebody has to check with somebody. So we're waiting to hear if we're going to be allowed to do design build. Also, we're waiting to hear if there's a mechanism whereby if a community with their technical assistance wants to pay a state procured planner. Right now, they can't do that directly. But can we set up a mechanism where if you need $20,000 to finish design with your state procured planner, can you send that $20,000 back to the state of Ohio? They in turn then put it in the budget of that procured planner and get your final design done with that TA money. So we're still waiting on an answer for that also. So we're trying to find ways to expedite these things. Like I say, that got sprung on everybody this summer with this September. I mean, this time next year, we got to be opening, awarding construction contracts. That's just a crazy deadline trying to meet. So we're trying to find ways to be able to expedite and meet that deadline with as many projects as we can.
Yeah, and as Ken, thanks for bringing that up on the TA. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, that's been discussed. They're trying to find out through legal if we can do that. But instead of asking, I mentioned earlier about you could ask, the lead applicant could ask for more money for your planner. That's got to go through the controlling board. So there's a process, and there's going to be a deadline to get that information in, which is coming up real soon. If you want to be able to make it happen, the alternative would be if they tell us that TA money could be sent back, like Ken said, if your county wants to send back some money to the state out of that 250 in order for your project, your planner to get more money, like Ken said, that's an opportunity, but we don't know if it is yet. We're exploring it. We'll see what happens. Speaking of the TA grants, I know the OVRDC, we have the 7 counties, and I've talked about this. We've just been inundated with a lot of information going on with this, and I've been busy with other things as well. I think we will try to schedule a meeting. Maybe it's just a Zoom meeting. Maybe we need to sit down in person with those 7 counties who are part of our TA grant to talk about this amendment we need to get in. One thing I kind of got wind of, and that's why this is getting urgent on the TA money. I've heard back from some of you. I'm still waiting from some of the others of you. Again, all these changes, we have till October 31st, I think it is, of next year to get that money under contract. And then we've got till 26 to spend it. But I'm hearing that if we aren't showing some effort to get that money moving out the door, we potentially will lose it. They will take that back and use it for development grants to fund more projects. So if you really want to use that TA money, we've got to get this amendment in and start talking about how you want to use it. So we'll probably, I'd say it won't be next week, but I think that last week of September, I'll start looking at a date where we can get together and talk about that TA grant, because I want to get that moving. I need to get that amendment into the state so we can move forward with things. Last thing I will just point out to you all is just a promo. The Appalachia Forward Conference, that's something that Ohio University's Voinovich School has started. They started that 2 years ago. We did it in Nelsonville at the Hocking College. Last year it was at Shawnee State Park. And this year it's going to be at Belmont College up in St. Clairsville, Ohio, in Belmont County. Gina sent out information on that through our e-newsletter a couple of times. Just encourage you, if you're interested in that, it's September 27th, again, up at Belmont College in St. Clairsville, Ohio. If you would like to attend that, if you don't have that information, reach out to us. We'll be glad to get it to you. So just want to put a plug in for that meeting. And with that said, I will shut up and see if there's any questions.
John, hi, good morning. My name is Jennifer. I'm with the firm Envision. We're one of the planners. And I wanted to go back to something that you said earlier about planners not being able to request additional funding during the time between the application submittal and the award announcement. Did I hear that correctly?
No, I'm speaking of right now. There have been a few projects. So I don't know the full story on this. So you guys got approved for so much planning money through June 30th. And then when they asked you guys to resubmit after July 1, then that was broken up because of the state budget year. Right. And from what I gather, the state did not give all the planners everything they requested. The amount that was awarded, which was about $6 million, was way less than what was requested. So some of the planners have said, hey, we don't have enough money, given what you gave us additionally, to continue on. And if you want us to have these projects out and under contract by September 30th, we got to keep now, not wait till February when they're awarded. So what I was saying is, if the communities have projects like that, that the planners like yourself can say to the community, no, if I have to wait till February, no, I can't get your project to contract. But if I can start now, I think I can. Then if your project's lined up with, you can't ask it. They don't want the planners asking for it, and they don't want every community going out and asking for it. So communities don't call yourself and ask. But if you're lined up with a lead applicant, that lead applicant can ask for the money for their project, as well as some of the others that are in that application that need that courtesy, and they can go to controlling board and ask for it. Does that make sense, Jennifer?
Got it. Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you, John. So
Okay.
if there's any additional design money, we'll go straight to the lead applicant. Understood. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you. Good question.
Hey, John, do you have a timeline on when a lead applicant would make the request for those additional funds?
We were told that, and that's why Ken and I are meeting today and starting to make this process and look at what's going to happen. I don't think the strict deadline is the end of this month, but they gave us kind of the end of this month. There's a little wiggle room there, but the idea is, if we ask for that by the end of this month, GOA and the state can process that and get it in the minimum number of days. I think they have to have it. Somebody, I think, said it was like October the 12th that's the last date they can get it to the controlling board for. I think it's the October 31st. Yeah, I think it's October 31st. Maybe it's the 30th. One of those 2 days is the controlling board where that would be approved. And if that's the case, think about that. If your project needs to move forward on November 1st, your procured planner could start with more design work to keep this thing moving. So but what they want, the reason they wanted to do it this way is they want it to be under the lead applicant, because they don't want the planners planning projects that have no chance of getting funding. So that's why you can't have the individual communities asking for this, and you can't have the planners. It's got to be within what we know is going to be an application.
And if you're not able to meet that end of September deadline, that request, you could do it later into October. And I think the
Right.
November meeting, the controlling board is kind of early because of Thanksgiving, like November 15th or something. So worst case scenario, you might get your request approved on November 15th. But as John
Right.
said, then that gives, the engineering architectural firms the rest of November, December, January, February to be working on final design on some of these projects that are going to be in applications.
Well, and one thing I want to say too, just so you guys know, I just think, just in fairness to Ken and I, we've been to some of the other meetings within some of the other districts. The only one I would say that maybe is ahead of everyone else is the Eastgate region. There are 3 counties, which makes it much easier to work with, I might say, than 11. But I don't think we're in good position, as good a position as the other 3. And even with the Eastgate area, they've came in with kind of a project that they decided, here's what we're getting behind. And there's a lot of groups that they've just kind of left behind, and those groups can apply, but Eastgate's not supporting those entities as far as an application. So they kind of moved ahead, but the rest of, we were in Cambridge, Ken and I were last week, was that, Ken? I can't keep track anymore. And the Omega region, they're looking at, I don't think they're any farther along than us. We might even have an edge on them. I don't know. So don't feel like we're behind down here in this part of the state with this program compared to the rest of it. The same questions we all continue to encounter, they're encountering as well. It's just been a difficult process to go through. Whoever gets this money, God bless you. Any other questions? All right, I don't hear any. And it's 10:30, so a lot of these we've wrapped up in a half hour. I am sorry for the information about the September 30th, 24. I know that probably impacts a lot of people that have had interest in this. And I would say, just again, remember, this isn't the only funding that's ever going to be available in Appalachia, Ohio. And we want to work with all of you that have projects, if there's a way to fund them in some other way, shape, or form. And we'll keep informing you of different funds. I mentioned this money that may come through the state. None of that's in bills yet. So when they put that out, when we know about it, you'll know about it. And you'll certainly want to work with your state reps or state senators on that money. I don't think OVRDC is going to be involved in the decisions on that funding. So, but we will get through this. We'll have good applications. And like I said, it's up to the lead applicants what they want to put in that application. But we are also, I am not going to recommend, we'll have to play the game. It's kind of like a game of chess. You got to figure out what do you do. But I wouldn't care to request all 500 million for the OVRDC region. I don't want to go in with the thought that we're going to ask for a fourth of this money, is I guess my point. But I also think we got to set or check our reality is we don't want to put projects in an application that aren't merited to move forward. That's going to look bad. And we probably don't want to get too aggressive and ask for 700 million for just our region. There's not that to give. So we'll have to play a balancing act, and we'll have to figure out what that looks like. So, one thing too, I think some of the projects in OVRDC's region may incorporate Buckeye Hills region. So some of the counties to the east, there could be a little cooperation, which probably fares well for our region and their region, because we had heard they would like to see some multi-LDD applications. And I think with that said, that may give us a bonus down here on seeing projects come to fruition that are submitted. So, all right, that's it. You all have a great weekend. Enjoy this weather while we're having it. It'll be snowing soon. So, Gina says no. All right. Everyone have a good day. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Thank you.